Question: was the attack on Israel a staged event? Early on October 7th, Hamas launched an unprecedented attack on Israel. Hundreds of Israelis have been killed. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared war, and the Pentagon pledged support, including an $8 billion military aid package. In this video by Steven Bennun of Israeli News Live, he provides evidence of it being a staged event, as well as information about the origins of Hamas.
You know, Hamas, if you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat.
This article details the history of Hamas. Here's Steven Bennun.
But this man right here knows full well that it was a staged attack, part of turning against their own people, putting their own people out as pawns, willing to allow Israelis, innocent Israelis, to be sacrificed on their altar to get a war in order to justify a Gog of Magog war, to make it look all biblical in the making.
Here, Bennun is reading testimony from a whistleblower.
He goes on to say, I say with certainty, this was a stand-down order. They do indeed have a very expensive obstacles to prevent this. Sophisticated tracking surveillance with remote operated machine gun emplacements. And even if there were overrun by surprise, which is impossible, the IAF has Apache helicopters for this case, and there were none airborne until at least 6 hours later, when hostages were being taken back to Gaza and the terrorists were coming and going as they pleased in great numbers. He goes, finally, some time ago, in other words, not during this time of the invasion of Hamas into southern Israel, into Sderot and other surrounding cities, but a few months back or whatever, the security for these southern towns was handled by the Gaza division. They'd post soldiers at each town, check people coming in and a patrol. Then there was a government decision to remove the soldiers and replace them with local civilian civil defense people. What? You replace them with local civilian defense and take away the soldiers after how many years? But the military defunded the programs and also took away the town's weapons armories that were supposed to be distributed to the local civilian defense persons. You don't only defund them, but you even take away their weapons to defend themselves. So the civil defense asks for personally armed volunteers, and we know how easy it is for Jewish Israelis to get a firearm here. Yet it is not easy for a citizen to get a firearm, period, in Israel.
The Israeli government effectively disarmed their own people? And did American taxpayers effectively help arm Hamas via Zelensky?
The weapons and everything that he did ends up in the hands of Hamas. We covered a lot of that as it unfolded in different broadcasts that we've already done. He got an Emmy from Sean Penn. What do you know there? As I said, he's nothing but an actor, nothing but a puppet.
Additionally, here is more evidence that it was a planned or staged event. Just 1 week before the attacks, the American government announced that Israelis could travel to the U.S. without getting a visa beforehand. Could be a coincidence, but I don't know. The October 7th attack by Zionist-controlled Hamas was not the first time that Zionists killed innocent Jews to attain their goals.
It was one of the most audacious acts of terror the world had ever seen. They used 350 kilos of gelignite and TNT, and they planted the bomb in broad daylight in a building full of people. Nearly 60 years on, and it is as fresh in the memory as ever for those involved.
I was running as fast as I could, with the bomb on my shoulder. There were a lot of explosives inside. It was heavy.
The bomb killed 91 people and 45 others were injured. But little did the bombers of Jerusalem's King David Hotel back in 1946 know that they were one day to be hailed as the founding fathers of a new age of terror. For their success inspired waves of imitators around the world. This is the story of the birth of modern terrorism, of the activists who invented it and of how it has been appropriated and dispersed around the globe. Jerusalem, cradle of faith to Muslim, Jew, and Christian alike. Jerusalem, the birthplace of modern terrorism.
After a bomb explosion caused by terrorists on the British headquarters at Jerusalem, one entire corner of the King David Hotel, a building of 7 stories, was razed to the ground. The stone floors were cut clean
In
away.
scenes eerily reminiscent of New York 55 years later, the Jerusalem bomb was the beginning of terrorism as a media event, designed to capture the world's attention.
The latest casualty list included 65 killed, 47 injured.
The perpetrators, Zionist Jews, members of Menachem Begin's Irgun terrorist network. Begin, who would one day become Prime Minister of Israel, described this tactic as turning Palestine into a glass house, where the entire world was looking in.
We are living in a war of perceptions, and just like during COVID, the media is not necessarily telling us the truth about the Middle East. Speaking as a Jew, a question: have we been deceived about Zionism? Here are screenshots of resources so you can do your own research. I'm Elizabeth Glass. Thank you.